another week of Eye of the Storm, a Guelph Storm podcast with myself, Ryan Drury, the voice of your Guelph Storm on Rogers TV. I'm very pleased to be joined by two very special guests, two of the coolest people on the planet, the co-founders of McFadden's movement. That is Steph Coratti. She is currently the Director of Strategy and Communications with the Greater Toronto Hockey League and former Community Relations Coordinator with your Guelph Storm. And of course, Storm Nation, you know who this guy is. That's Garrett McFadden, longtime Storm member and, of course, captain of the team as well. Guys, it's great to have you on the show. How are you?
Yeah, we're out
No,
of sync.
we don't know who
Good.
wants to go first.
Anybody.
Good. Yeah.
Well,
I'm good.
it's
Yeah.
it's great to have you guys on the show, and there's a lot to cover here. I guess we should start with, Garrett, obviously, a lot of people in Storm Nation and around the region are familiar with McFadden's movement, but there are some people who might not be. So why don't you kind of take everybody through the idea behind it and how it kind of all got started with you and Steph?
Sure. Yeah. So when I got to Guelph, we were always super involved in the community, and I got to know Steph very well. And it was something, the school events and different sort of PRs that we would do, I really enjoyed, and I liked getting to interact with the kids in the community and whoever else really, really enjoyed all that stuff. And then I think leading into my fourth year, Steph and I were just kind of shooting ideas back and forth over the summer, just about maybe doing something, that we were passionate about, or if we had any ideas on things we wanted to do to kind of give back to the community. And I had mentioned something about mental health. And I guess that day, McFadden's movement was kind of born. I don't know if we had named it that day. I know we shot back and forth on ideas for a little bit, but yeah, it was just kind of a way. I had a family friend, Wes Cameron, died by suicide when I was in grade nine. So, suicide awareness and I think mental health became something that I was made more aware of, unfortunately, due to those circumstances, but was something that I'd never really thought about before until what happened with Wes. And his parents obviously started Wes for Youth, and it was an opportunity, I thought, for me with a platform, and obviously with Steph's help, to kind of push something that I thought was really important, and I thought we could go a long ways with. And yeah, since then it's just kind of been fundraisers and different events and stuff like that, and now kind of leading into our sixth annual golf tournament. So it's been a pretty cool experience.
And you guys are well over a decade into this. And Steph, I'm curious from your perspective, obviously, helping Garrett get something going like this and maintaining it and keeping it going for as long as you guys have. Garrett always kind of jokes that you're the heartbeat of the organization. I think that everybody would agree with that. From your perspective, getting everything going and maintaining it, all the different events that you guys do, what's that like to kind of organize and keep this thing going, because it's done tremendous work?
Well, it's funny because I feel like we've kind of come full circle where maybe in the beginning, getting it going, it was kind of laying the steps and the processes of getting it to where it's kind of become. But I will say I will wholeheartedly flip the script and say the heartbeat is definitely Garrett these days for the last few years, I would say for sure. And that from my side of things, in all seriousness, that's been um probably the one of the most rewarding things where you see something has grown from where it began to then watching the roles kind of flip. And that's um I think one of the reasons for the success is because we know that um across all sports, athletes have a lot of causes that they put their name behind, and they'll show up for the events, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to see the person whose name actually do like roll up the sleeves and do that work behind the scenes has been really, really rewarding to watch through the whole process. But then I will say 10 years is not at all something that I think when we started talking about it was something that was ever imagined. I mean, I'm still, when I say that or we talk about the 10-year plans, it's like still does not feel at all real. And all of that is a testament to the people who chose every year to support it and back it and do so without hesitation or questions or really anything outside of the fact that they just show up in support. So first and foremost, that's a testament to all those people, and there's been a lot of those people that have made it get to this point. But yeah, it originally started, I always say this, but in the first year, the whole goal that Garrett had was get in front of teams, get to schools, share the story, introduce the topic. And I remember that year there were Storm fans who just showed up to the office handing over cash, and donations were never in the plans in the first year. And then we're like, okay, well, I guess we can do this. So it's honestly snowballed. And that's from people who've chosen to support it, whether that's teammates or the organizations, um, friends, family, all of that. And now Garrett just really pushing it forward to the best that he can.
Yeah, it's been really great to watch. I'm obviously a supporter of it, and I always try and let people know what it's all about, and because I believe in the work you guys are doing. And Garrett, from your perspective, when you start something like this, like Steph said, your name's on it. It's something that's personal to you, and you really believe in it. There's been a number of different events over the years. The street hockey tournament, of course, now the golf tournament kind of become the marquee event for the organization. When you go to that and you see all these former Storm players, Storm executives, people that have been involved with the team, loads of people from around the Guelph community, business leaders, old teammates of yours, current members of the team, like when you see all these people show up for this thing, that must be an incredibly rewarding thing to see year after year. And it seems to get bigger and bigger every year, too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, um, I think for Steph and I, it's kind of like you get to that moment where the setup's done and the event's about to be put on, and you have a brief second to sit back, and usually it's after it's all done. Once the day's gone by successfully, and nothing bad ever really goes wrong. But yeah, it's a super rewarding feeling. I think between the two of us, we put in a ton of work to try to put on the best event we can, and I wholeheartedly believe it's my favorite golf tournament to play in every year. Maybe it's just because all my buddies are there, and it's just a big melting pot of people that I know and have come to know over the last 10 years. But it's a really cool feeling, and I think we take 5 minutes at the end to be proud, and we have a couple drinks after and decompress, and it usually turns into waking up the next morning to a breakfast at etc., and picking the date for the next year, and starting all over again. So it really is like a year long thing for us to prep for it. Not that it's this strenuous thing. It becomes that in the months leading up to it when you're finalizing everything. But it definitely feels good in the end when we pull it all off. And there's been stressful moments over the last 10 years. I know, probably in those first few, Steph was begging for a bit more help, and I was a young kid just trying to figure it all out too. So, but it's like Steph said, like I feel like now I'm a bit more reliable, and I have a better sense of what's going on and how to type out my own emails and do all the nitty-gritty stuff that she was doing for years before. So yeah, it's cool. I know we're both super thankful. I think you see all the people out there, and I think the continued support is one of those things too. It's like we've got guys that have been at events every year for the last 10 years. It's and to be able to kind of stay connected in that sense, and also be able to lean on those guys when you need them. And Skyjack, for example, like being able to lean on them year in and year out, and it seems like whatever we ask of them, they're willing to do. So it makes our job a lot easier for sure. But yeah, there's definitely still that sense of pride when we do pull it all off.
And Steph, organizing all this stuff, like I said, I mean, 10 years, you guys have raised an awful lot of money for great mental health causes, supporting things like Waterloo-Wellington, CMHA, and a bunch of different other things too. When you see all of the continued support that Garrett mentioned and all of the money that you guys have been able to raise, I mean, I think you guys are well over 150 grand now. Like that's an incredible number from something that you guys started just thinking, oh, we'll go talk to some kids and we'll get the message out there. That's a pretty significant financial stamp that you guys have been able to put on the area, and that must feel incredibly rewarding.
Oh, huge. I mean, for me personally, I think we're 3 or 4 thousand away from 200,000 total. So I want to say definitely, but nothing's definite, but definitely gonna surpass that this year. And that to me is remarkable from just the perspective, like Garrett said it really well, where we have a lot of support, and I'm not underestimating any of that support at all, but for to challenge a lot of what charities do that have like complete boards and staff and a lot of the times when it comes to the work, it is the two of us. But with that said, it truly is, in addition to the two of us, a village of a lot of people from, it's not just the money contributions that, I mean, you have the Bowmans who give up their basement to us every year for almost a week in preparation for the golf tournament. I mean, there's stuff in Garrett's parents' place and in my basement. There's people operating as storage units. And then the people who show up, and there's all sorts of different kinds of support that has translated into the ability of potentially surpassing $200,000 raised for. And I think I'm most proud of the fact that we can genuinely say that the proceeds are all going to mental health resources. I mean, so that to me, I don't think I will ever sit with that as a reality. It's kind of like this is every time we do a check donation, it's like we're hitting new records every time we make a donation. And it's still kind of that awe moment that this is a lot of money. And I will say on the other side of things that CMHA Waterloo-Wellington, who has been on the receiving end for all 9 years, and then even Garrett having the chance to donate this past year to CMHA Grey Bruce, which was close to home for him. And then obviously, West for Youth for so many years. These people are tremendously gracious every single year that they receive anything. So also just seeing that of you really feel the difference that it is for them. So I think that's just another cherry on top to you feel their gratitude and what it means. So I think that's kind of why you do it. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'd be remiss not to mention that obviously, the roots of this started when you were playing for the Storm, Garrett, and both of you have had a tremendous impact on your lives because of the organization. For you as a player, Garrett, like, what do you think, contributed being a member of the Storm in a positive sense to you being able to launch something like this and keep it going for so long? What was it about being part of the organization that allowed you to kind of flourish and be able to pull something like this off?
I think for me, it's always been like the culture, right? Like I talk about getting there when I was 16, and I wasn't doing stuff like that as a minor hockey player. I'd um, never really been in like a position of spotlight, I guess, in that sense. And as much as it is that, it's getting to influence and impact young people's lives, or have an interaction with someone who just needs a friend or someone to talk to. And um, I think for me, when I was coming into the league and my first year was really tough, it was a way to feel a part of something when I wasn't playing and when I was sitting out a lot and struggling sort of in my own world. I could still go to a library event, and those kids didn't know if I hadn't played in 3 or 4 weeks, or if I wasn't one of the best players on the team, or they didn't know anything, but I put on the jersey and they were happy to see me and they wanted my autograph. And, it's kind of funny to think back to those times that it did just as much for me as it did for those kids, and making me feel like I had a place, and um, making me feel like I could have an impact. And I think that confidence just in from those events and stuff like that showed me that if there was something that I cared about and I wanted to make a difference in, then it was an avenue that I think would have been well supported by the community. And I think that's kind of where we are today. Like, I feel a great sense of community in everything that we do and every event that we put on. And every time I'm back in Guelph now, it's a really cool feeling to kind of know that you're making a difference in the community for people that I'll likely never interact with. But I know when we first started this, like Steph was talking about, it was never really about what kind of monetary donation we could make or what sort of impact we could have on these resources financially. It was more just about like if we could help one kid who was struggling with their thoughts or dealing with depression or anxiety and just sort of lead them in the right direction, then it would be a success. And I'd like to think it's become a lot more than just one kid over the last 10 years. And the dollar signs are nice, and being able to kind of see it in the Grove and feel the appreciation of what we do to donate, and that is great. But I think the you know being able to look at it like tangibly and see that kids are getting help and getting led in the right direction to these awesome resources, that's kind of what we're all after. And I think obviously like the storm opened up that opportunity for me, and it was never something that if I was going to an event or if I had my own talk in a school in the afternoon, nobody ever asked questions. It was just like, where do you need to be? When do you need to be there? And obviously that comes a lot from Steph. I think she, pushed that through and allowed me to do what I was going to do, and set up all the events and do all that stuff for me on the back end to kind of just let it grow and let it flourish into what it is now. And yeah, I think it's been an awesome ride, and obviously like the organization still supports us heavily, which is nice. Whether it's the old guys coming back or the team sponsoring stuff for the golf tournament, or getting a chance to meet the new guys or the current guys, it's become kind of like a full circle thing. And you see the young ones come in, and you reflect a little bit of where I was at those days. And it's definitely interesting, but it's a cool thing.
I think that's a good perspective to have on it too. Like a lot of guys, and I think fans too kind of forget, these guys have lives, and it's important to have something away from the game that, you can kind of ground yourself with. And Steph, you got to see that for Garrett and a bunch of other players too in your time with the organization from a very different viewpoint. I mean, you're seeing these guys experience their junior careers, and you're doing your best to kind of be a positive influence on that and help out. Like when you reflect on your time with the organization, because obviously you're doing a lot of really important work with the hugest minor hockey organization on the planet. When you look back on your time with the Storm and how those years kind of helped form, or be a formative experience for your time with McFadden's movement, how do you reflect back on that time and how it impacted you in a positive way?
That's a very good question, and something that I've I think every year that goes by that I'm separated further from that time, I think I learn more and more and appreciate it more and more. The first thing I always say when I'm in discussions about this is I am fully acknowledging the fact that I was wholeheartedly blessed with a very good group of guys. Like in across, I was there for 6 years, and I can honest to God say I don't think that there was a quote unquote bad egg. Um, so I was very lucky to have a group that, you know, right through to the core, and any additions that came into my last year as well. Like I finished off in 2019, which was obviously that championship season, but um, they were passionate and they cared about a culture off the ice. And for me, that was one probably the most rewarding parts of my career to watch. I mean, obviously, for me, like it's special with Garrett, because I started out as an intern and then we kind of grew into our careers in Guelph together at the same time. I mean, the year that he was named captain, I was brought on full time, and it was kind of very nice, kind of grow through that chapter together. So that is a huge thing for me being able to see that, and be have a front row seat of that. But I was also lucky where I got to see the impact that, I mean, Garrett will probably never in his life admit this himself, but acknowledging the fact that the culture that was built there was because of what Garrett did and the conversations that he allowed to happen. So, as a leader himself, even before he had the C on his jersey, community was a priority. He cared about it. And even outside of community, it taught guys that we as an organization cared about more than just on ice performance. And for me, the biggest thing is a lot of people will question that mentality, but I would argue that that ultimately brought a championship to the organization in 2019. And a lot of people may oversee that point that Garrett may not have been on the team that year, but he was a huge contributing factor to the winning mentality of that team. I will say that the captain that year, Isaac, the second that, they won that game, we lost the captain on the ice, almost missing the team picture because his priority was to get off the ice and give Garrett a call. So for me, I mean, there's so much that goes into culture of a hockey team, and I got a front row seat to what I personally believe is how you do it, and you do it the right way. These guys fought for the ability to be a part of their community. They cared, they wanted to be there. I mean, there probably were a lot of grumblings about I'm tired and Steph, you're making me go here early, and that's the fun part of it all, but they genuinely wanted to be there. And yeah, I'm forever grateful of the fact that I got a front row seat to watch an organization care about a culture of that magnitude like that, but also getting to watch the players themselves create that, because they did. I mean, they cared about themselves, each other, they cared about the team. And it was more than just caring about their contributions on the ice. Like I would see every day that, so and so seems a little off. Did you notice that? Maybe we'll go for lunch. Like that kind of stuff where they genuinely cared about each other. So yeah, I'm endlessly grateful for the group that I got. And I'm sure that culture is continuing on, but very lucky to have a front row seat to that. I will say the one story I want to add, not to continue rambling, is the day that we were trying to get Garrett announced as captain. Lindsay and I literally had to fight Garrett to not go on the community appearance that day because we knew he was being named captain, and he was genuinely mad. Like we had to basically threaten him to stay home, do not show up to the rink or to the community appearance. And I think he was really mad up until the point where he realized he was being named captain. So when we talk about culture and leadership, I mean, I think there isn't a better example than that.
I would certainly agree. I'm not surprised to hear that. I want to flip, my previous question around for you, Garrett, because I kind of asked you how the Storm and being a player influenced the roots of McFadden's movement. You continue to play pro hockey. I mean, you've been overseas. You've played in Slovakia. You've played in Czechia. I know you've played in Austria. You're in the EIHL now with Belfast. You continue to play. How do you feel that your work and the ongoing message behind McFadden's movement has inspired you to continue on with your hockey career?
I don't know. I mean, I think obviously like hockey is my passion, and um, it's I've been lucky to be able to make a career out of playing a game that I love. And um there's times nowadays where sometimes it does feel a little bit like work, but I think you just try to stay in the moment in those times and remind yourself it is my passion. It's something that I love to do, and I love to be, in the locker room with the guys and competing, and going on the road, and doing all the stuff that is being a hockey player. And You know, it's a tough question to answer, I actually think, but um, it's just one of those things like I've been lucky to keep on playing. I've been lucky to see a lot of the world and be able to travel and play the game overseas and play professionally in North America and um, you know, have all these experiences because of a foundation that I think was set in me in junior and learning about who I am as a person and um, about perseverance and resilience and all the cliche virtues that I think you learn from different adversities that you're facing throughout the years. And there's been times in my professional career where it's been rough. There was times in my junior career where it was rough. There was times in my junior career where things were going great, and there's been times in my pro career where things have been going great. And um, I look back a lot on my time in Guelph and realize that it was kind of like what built my career, I guess, in a sense. And I experienced so much in 5 years that I've gone on to experience in another 5 years playing professionally and finding yourself in new settings that start to feel like old settings that you've been through before. And you kind of clock back in and remember, if I could handle it when I was 16, then surely I can do it now at 28. It's sometimes a little easier said than done on the day to day, but you learn so much. I mean, I honestly feel that I've learned more through sport than really anything in my life, and maybe that's because sport has been my life, and and that's the only option to learn is through that. But it's been a cool thing, and obviously, like having McFadden's movement as something on the side has also helped me. Where there's some days, I think back to being at Acadia during COVID and we didn't play for an entire year. And it's like you're contemplating, what am I if I'm not a hockey player? And being able to kind of lean on that and have something to not so much distract me, but just like a different purpose in who I am and the things that I want to do and the things that I'm passionate about. It's been a nice thing that when I am struggling here and there through my pro career, I've always been able to kind of lean on the golf tournament and send out a bunch of emails and try to, create new ideas for um, the cause and it's been a cool thing for sure. And yeah, it's definitely helped me through the ups and downs and I think in pro hockey you have a lot of spare time, not being in high school anymore, not having to go to class and university and whatnot. So you get done at 12:30 and uh, I don't want to sit around all day. I'm not that type of person. So I channel a lot of the extra energy into getting a cappuccino at one of the cafes in Belfast and bringing my laptop and emailing anyone and everyone in the Guelph area asking for sponsorships and things like that. So it's been a cool thing. It's kept me busy and I feel like very lucky to have that as a not so much as like what the kids would call like a side quest or something like that, but it really sometimes is kind of like um, like my other passion, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, absolutely. Well, and I'll tell you what you are away from the rink. You're a driver in the community for positive change and a really positive message with this organization. And I mean, whenever you do decide to hang the skates up, you could kind of just do whatever you want after this. I mean, you could be a public speaker, you could be the CEO of something, you could continue to be involved with the game. I think you'd be a great coach, a great skills development guy. Like you could do whatever you want, man. And it's been a lot of fun and a real pleasure to see how your career has developed. And I know we're going to continue to see great things from you, no matter when it is that you decide to hang them up professionally. Steph, I want to end off here because, again, as I said earlier, like Garrett's always told me, and he'll tell anybody that, you were the heartbeat of the organization, and the two of you both pass that off to each other. And I think that that's why the relationship really works so well. You're you're a machine. Like the work that you did with Guelph, like it's true, it really is. And now you're doing great work with a very high end hockey organization. Like I said, the GTHL, it's a monster in terms of minor hockey. So to be able to do that and keep something like this going is really unbelievable. I wonder if you can give us like some breaking news here on the details of this year's golf event. Like, what are we looking at? And if people want to, buy merch, you guys have merch. I'm wearing some. Come on here. I got this on too. I never take it off. Where can they go and find out more about McFadden's movement? And do you have any details for us?
Yes, so absolutely all of the details, anything movement related, can be found on mcfaddensmovement.com. I am going to take this opportunity to plug our 10th anniversary gala this is a special edition event that we're planning for Thursday, July 16th in the evening at Delta Guelph. We've never planned this kind of event before, so we're stepping into new territory, but we definitely both felt that 10 years deserved a little bit of a celebration. So it's under events on our website. Check it out. You can get dinner tickets, come celebrate with us. We're going to have some guest speakers, and it's really focused on, I mean, for us, it's again that 10th milestone moment. We want to celebrate it. We want to give it the attention that it deserves. Skyjack, like always, jumped in to support at that event as well. So dinner, celebration, really just reflecting on the 10 years. CMHA Waterloo-Wellington and other special guests will be joining us. And yeah, so we hope that you can join us and celebrate with us on the Thursday night and then jump right into golf on the Friday back at Victoria Park. So yeah, I don't know if Garrett wants to plug the golf information, but I took that chance to plug the gala.
Yeah, the golf tournament's Friday, July 17th. It's our normal 12:30 p.m. shotgun. There's still lots of room to register. All the information is up on our website, our Facebook page, our Instagram, our X page, and we also have a new LinkedIn. If people are interested in checking us out on LinkedIn, we can plug that too. But yeah, it'll be our sixth annual golf tournament. It's a super fun event. I know. I think our retention rate for golfers is pretty high, so I would encourage people if you're interested in playing, register your teams as soon as you can because we tend to fill up, over the next month or two. So, but yeah, it's a cool event. Come check it out. If you're interested, then feel free to send us an email or a message or anything like that. We can answer any questions and hope to see you at either the gala or the golf tournament or both would be awesome.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, remember you can go and find all the information for that at mcfaddensmovement.com. Guys, like I said at the start, two of my favorite people on the planet. It's great to have you guys on this podcast. I know Storm Nation's going to appreciate it. I really, really appreciate your time, guys. Thank you so much for doing this, eh?
Well,
Thanks, Ryan.
I'm going to jump in and say thank you, Ryan, for all your support, and you come out and MC and do all that kind of stuff, and you're a huge supporter. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. I believe wholeheartedly in the work you guys are doing. It's for a great cause, and I really appreciate the ongoing support. All right, everybody, remember, you can find this podcast on YouTube, the team website, all your favorite podcast apps across the Guelph Storm socials, and it's almost playoff time. You want to come down and support the Guelph Storm, you can get tickets at the Sleeman Center box office or on the Storm website. We'll be back next week with more Eye the Storm.